Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Marvel Rising. Marvel Rising was a pretty good animated, well, I don't know if you could really call it a series because it is technically a series, but it's not categorized as a traditional series. Say season 1, season 2. Because when you see it on Disney Plus, you have to actually type in each individual episode name just to get to them. It's not all in one category and stuff. And they kept coming out with shorts and segments and specials. So technically, it is a series, just not in the traditional sense. And it aired from 2018 to 2019 on the YouTube site of Disney HQ, but it also appeared, I believe, also on Disney XD. And for the most part, it's a pretty good series and everything. It's pretty solid. It's pretty cool. It's pleasant. There's some nice action, some nice character building, some emotion and stuff like that. We get some backstory to a lot of these characters in the form of flashbacks to their origin. Not all, but some. Some people don't really get that much screen time, and some people don't even get episodes that really focus on them. So that's a bummer. And also what's a bummer is not everybody appears in every episode. Now, for the most part, there are some really, really good episodes. Some are just okay. And two are kind of should have been so much better, but it's just whatever and stuff. And so, you can find you can find all of them on YouTube except for Secret Warriors, but you can find every single last one on Disney Plus. And there's, I'm trying to think how many there are total. And see, when they air it kind of very differently. See, I first got into this because now I remember and everything. I was on YouTube, and so for some reason, how they give you suggestions of what to watch, and one of them was Initiation, the one I just got through reviewing. Go watch that. And so I'm like, whoa, Spider Gwen and everything. How cool is that and everything? So I watched it and it was actually a pretty good episode. And its follow-up was that of Chasing Ghost. And so, so I never knew when they was gonna drop because you just never knew, you know what I'm saying? So every once in a while it'll pop up on YouTube and I'll watch it. Now, sadly, if you're gonna watch Initiation, my bad. I said last time just watch the whole 20-minute episode on YouTube. Now they broke it up into the segments because it's 6 4-minute segments. I don't know, shorts. I don't know why they did that for. That was so ridiculous and stupid. And so Marvel Rising deal with a group of superheroes known as the Secret Warriors and everything. Basically, this show is a combination of Young Justice, Teen Titans, and Legion of Superheroes. It's all smushed into one. So you get a little bit of everything and stuff. And it really deals with some they go through some emotional arcs, not as deep as Young Justice. There are a lot of Teen Titan-ish type stuff, you know what I'm saying? And all around just a teen superhero thing. But for the most part, it is pretty cool. I prefer this a whole lot more than Avengers Assemble and Marvel Spider-Man. Now, one thing that it falters in, it falls under that same flaw of Marvel Spider-Man and Avengers Assemble animation. It's that cheap, flat looking animation with no rendering. It is a little jarring, a bit awkward at times when you look at it because it's kind of there should be some shading in there. Now, a lot of cartoons They don't have rendering. Mostly like goofy, silly cartoons, comedy type stuff. But normally when superhero cartoons come out, they have rendering. This is Marvel's attempt just to push out as much stuff as they can really fast with like, some storylines that are good and other ones that are pretty sloppy and other ones that kind of fall flat. And sadly, this show does that too. It comes from that cheap animation. It comes from like some storylines are just kind of like, come on, man, it could have been a whole lot more better than that. And some characters don't really get fleshed out. And then when some characters start disappearing, it's like, what, where'd they go? And stuff. But yeah, I hate that cheap animation. It just looks so flat and dull. But I like the bright colors and stuff. For the most part, you'll have fun watching this. It's the closest thing you'll get to Young Avengers. And just like Young Justice, they have their own like hideout that the grown-ups gave them. Oh, I'm so tired. Gee, I don't know why is it every time I start recording late at night, I get so tired and I yawn and stuff like that. I hate that. I never yawn during the day. It's always during this time. And it's always when I record for some reason. I can watch TV at night and I don't yawn. But yeah, they have like a mentor that's like, one of the older adults and stuff. And they go on missions, but they really are in training. But they end up taking on these missions and saving the world, and when they're not supposed to and stuff. They always like defying orders and stuff. There are 7 episodes total, and sadly, it has came to an end. And it's kind of sucks because it was pretty cool and everything. And so one thing that bugs me is that when an episode is supposed to be like a solo episode for like a character, it deals with that character a little bit, but then it goes to like a completely different character because it likes to share the screen time, but sometimes it does with the other characters a little too much, especially when they get into the action. It takes up too much time. And so, like, one cool thing about this is that Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, is shown a lot in this series. And I mean, like, a lot. And I like that because I wasn't feeling a live action Kamala Khan, but I'm really digging this animation one. It's the one from the video game and I'm not really too keen on. I still don't like her powers though. But this Kamala Khan is so much cooler than the live action one in every way. And the fact that it's animation, the silly, goofy teen version of her, it comes out so much more smoother and everything, and not awkward. And another person, the second person they kind of focus on like a little bit is Squirrel Girl, but she's mostly just there to like, help out like, Kamala and be like her best friend and moral support. Now, when it comes to Inferno Dante, sadly, he's always there just as like a plot device, especially in the first one. And then the last one is a solo episode where we get to know a little bit more about him, but it still focuses more on other people and stuff, mostly the villain. And let's see what else. There are 3 Spider-Girl episodes which actually follows her. So that's cool. I know they probably thought, okay, Spider-Girl is probably more of a hot commodity and everything. So let's make sure it focuses and stay on her. And then there's one that just came completely out of left field, and that's the Shuri one from Wakanda. And it didn't like play out the way I thought it was, and it didn't end the way I thought it was. And then there's one about Ironheart, which that one in the Shuri one fell kind of flat a bit. And so my favorite ones, see, when it comes to the two, well, there's 3 Spider-Girl, well, Spider-Gwen, I should say. There's 3 of those, but 2 of them I like to think of as more as one episode, even though they're separate, but they are a continuation of the other one. So my favorite ones is Secret Warriors, the 2 Spider-Gwen ones, and those are like the best ones there. And then when it comes to Battle of the Bands, which is also based on Spider-Gwen and Playing with Fire, they're okay. Could have been a tad bit better, but for the most part, they're okay. And when it comes to Ironheart and Operation Shuri, those fall kind of like a little flat and stuff. And I was really hoping for more. And so the order in which you have to watch them is the ones that came out in viewing order, and that is Secret Warriors, which shows the team coming together, but it's mostly a Kamala Khan episode with that of Squirrel Girl, being moral support, but it's mostly a Kamala Khan episode. Initiation in Chasing Ghosts, which is primarily that of a Spider-Gwen one, where she is framed for murder and her dad, the police chief, is chasing her. Heart of Iron, which shows Ironheart, Riri Williams, I can't talk, Riri Williams, her introduction and everything, and how she joined the team. And it also shows like this big impending doom that's like happening on the world. And Quake has to like step up as leader. Then there's Battle of the Bands, which is another Spider-Gwen episode where she wants to compete for, of course, Battle of the Bands, but her superhero stuff is getting in the way and it's causing conflict with her team. Operation Shuri. Now that's one where for some reason T'Challa wants Shuri to like hang out with the Warriors and learn how to be a teenager. It's a flat episode. It didn't go the way I thought it would. Then Playing with Fire. It has to do with Dante and him losing his powers to a villain that what they just made up, not even in the comics. And so like his sister's coming into town because she wants him to go back home. So when it comes to characters, we have the leader, Daisy Johnson, which is Quake. She was in the comics and then she got introduced into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the first MCU TV show. Originally, that was canon, and so they changed her and made her Inhuman. Then when Kevin Feige's all like, people don't like this and we want to do our own thing, so he made it not canon. So that show is no longer canon. But then they introduced her in this show and she's also an Inhuman with some type of like vibration type powers and stuff. She's an Inhuman and she's unable to control her powers, so she uses her gauntlets. Now, she told one of her partners that, that it's just the gauntlets that make this power, but really she's an Inhuman. The reason why she lied, because Inhumans are taking over the role of that of the X-Men, mutants. Basically, Inhumans are hated on and everything. They're seen as like dangers, a risk to society and everything like that. And so she's a very confident leader for the most part. She's an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Captain Marvel puts her in charge of the team. And so she leads the team pretty well. Only problem is sometimes the team is very stubborn. They don't always get along and they do whatever they want, which causes conflict and causes some of the Avengers to get kind of mad at them. And so she gets like the blame because, she's the leader, which causes her to have doubts at times. Her partner is Patriot. This is the Rashawn version. And in this version, he was trained by Captain America. And he is a by the books type of person who wants to prove that he's just as good as Captain America and make Captain America proud. So he doesn't really like to goof around and have fun or nothing like that. He's just straight up by the books. Even if it means arresting one of his team members, which he does when it comes to Quake. And so he has a shield that he uses just like Captain America, but he can also use it as a glider. And he can also shoot missiles from it. And his outfit is different from that of the comics. He has the Sam Wilson Captain America uniform. Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, she is an Inhuman. And she has stretching powers and she can shapeshift. And almost every episode follows on her. She's the girl at school, like, who's doesn't really get along with too many people because they don't like her and stuff. Her main goal is to be a superhero. That's all she wants to be and everything. And she trains before school happens. She trains after school, and she just wants to be the best superhero she can be because she idolizes all superheroes, especially that of Captain Marvel. She has a very strict mom who she calls Nani or something like that for some reason. I don't know why she calls her mom by for her first name and stuff, but she does. Ami, that's it, Ami. And I'm just like, that's weird because I don't think she does that in the live action show. And her mom's very like strict and stuff like that. And is this version is a million times better. Like she has to worry about like getting home in time or she'll get grounded, and like she really steps up in her superhero business and proves that even she can be a leader in the first episode. Now her best friend, now Miss Marvel, when she uses her power, for some reason she'll say like "and begin," and then she'll like hit somebody with it. It's kind of cute. I like that. Now, if she would have done that in live action, it would look silly and everything. So thank God she didn't do that. Is Doran Squirrel Girl. She is very loud, very proud. She's always shouting and screaming and rarely ever talks and everything. And she gets all up in people's face and just constantly just like shout at them and stuff. But in a good kind of way. Like she isn't trying to be mean. She's very enthusiastic. She has a squirrel that she communicates all the time called Tippy-Toe. And she constantly talks to Tippy-Toe and everything because she's a mutant who has the ability to talk to squirrels and control them. And she can also climb walls and she has agility and stuff. Now, I always assume that she actually had squirrel ears and a tail, but it's shown in this show that she has to put them on and everything. And the thing is, she badly wants to be a superhero too and prove that she's like awesome and everything like that. But everybody thinks of her as a joke, and she knows that. At least she's self-aware. And she has to prove to people, she can be just as good as any superhero and stuff. Now, Squirrel Girl, she has tons of catchphrases. Basically anything with nuts. And it's so hilarious. Now, Doran, she has a huge crush on Patriot and stuff. And so, like, that's been established since like the first episode. There's Tippy-Toe, who is the main squirrel of that of Squirrel Girl. And she wears a little like ribbon around her like neck and stuff. And she's pretty fun, cute, cuddly, and she helps out every way she can. She reminds me kind of a Disney animal. Spider Gwen. So she goes by Ghost Spider in this. Now, in the first time I reviewed this, I said that the reason why she has blonde hair, but she has pink like tips at the end. I said that was because of the Harley Quinn thing from the Suicide Squad movie, because she was a very popular character. I assume it came out around that same time. Actually, she has pink tips to look more like Gwen Poole. Gwen Poole is a Elseworld type Gwen Stacy that's a rip on Deadpool and stuff. My bad and everything. I keep forgetting about that character because she never really shows up. And Gwen Poole's a very interesting character. She transported into like some weird Marvel world, and she started killing all like the inhabitants there. I think they're like animals and stuff, and she thought they were like fictional, but then it turns out she realizes, oh, you're real and everything. And anyway, Spider-Gwen is framed for the murder of her best friend Kevin. Now in the comics, it's Peter Parker because he turns into the lizard and then he ends up dying. And so they had to change it because, Spider-Man already existed in the Marvel animation stuff. And so, like, she has to like clear her name and everything, and her dad, who's a police chief, is always chasing her down. She's in a band called the Mary Janes, and Mary Jane is the lead singer. There's Gloria Grant and there's Betty Brant. Now this Spider Gwen has organic webbing and everything. Now, Spider Gwen, she has a catchphrase, more like a curse word. It's the term webs. So she uses the word webs for like a cuss word like replacement and stuff. American Chavez. I like this American Chavez so much better than the live action one we got in the MCU. Now, just like I said with the Multiverse of Madness movie, that American Chavez is fine. She's okay, like whatever. But there was nothing too interesting about her. They didn't make her, and they just made her into a typical teenager and talk like a typical teenager. This one right here is the real thing. She's taller than everybody on her team. She's almost as tall as the guys around their same height, but she's taller than all the girls. She's drawn with curves and thickness, and so she has this unusual look to her when she's next to everybody else because she's so tall and like thick and everything. Now, this version can fly, just like the one in the comics. The one in the movie could not. In this version, she has super strength, which in the movie she didn't. Now, she does punches people with starbursts. I think the live action one did that only one time. Now, her starburst, she can hit you and knock you on your feet with that, or she can hit you so hard you'll crumble. And she can also open up portals in different dimensions, but she doesn't do that in the cartoons. Now, she did that, of course, in the movies. This one looks just the way she does in the comics. She has like the big earrings, the poofy hair, the dark skin, and the attitude. Yes, the attitude. Something she was missing from the live action. Well, she was missing a lot from the live action. And so this one does have like a chip on her shoulder and everything. Now, this version, she came from some type of parallel universe when the Kree was doing something with the Inhumans on their world, and they caused like the world to pretty much implode and stuff like that. So she wanted to help her parents out and everything, her two moms. So they tricked her and sent her to a different like universe and stuff. And so she now fears that that planet exploded and, you know, her parents are gone. And so she lives on Earth all by herself. She don't attend school. I think she lives, I know she works in a car shop, but I think she also lives there too. And she rides a motorcycle and stuff. And her favorite catchphrase is like Chica. Now, Dante, who goes by Inferno, he is an inhuman. And so in the first episode, he's being chased and stuff. He has fire powers. And there's not much we know about him. Like, really, there's not. Like, we know both him and Miss Marvel have a crush on each other. And they flirt, kinda. Well, they give each other the look and everything. But that's not really all we know about him. He's afraid to go home because he burnt his house down. And that's about it. He's one of the most underutilized and underdeveloped characters in the show. Along with Patriot and everything. And Patriot even quake a little bit. Now, last is Ironheart, Riri Williams. And she's this extremely smart individual who's like 15. And she has a group of friends that don't treat her very nicely and stuff. They tend to go to parties without her. They think she's too smart for her own good. And she ends up building a suit of armor, similar to that of Iron Man, just like in the comics and everything. Now, there's a tragic backstory that has to go with either her friend or her dad. I couldn't really get the gist of it too much and everything. I couldn't really hear over like something that was going on. I couldn't hear it for some reason, but something about she said she would have done something a little bit differently, then her dad would have been like alive. So they went into like her tragic backstory, but she's also a little underutilized too, and she keeps disappearing from the series after she's introduced. And that's a problem with this show. They keep bringing in characters only to make them disappear and everything, and then they don't have that much development to them. Lockjaw. Now, Lockjaw is also part of the team. He just teleports them wherever they have to go. One thing I don't understand is like, how do people not know who they are? Because most of the team don't wear masks or nothing. And American Chavez doesn't even have a costume. She just wears her regular clothes. Quake is maskless. Dante does not wear a mask. Squirrel Girl doesn't. The only ones that do is like Spider Gwen and Kamala, Miss Marvel, and Patriot and stuff. And people see them hanging out, but nobody's able to make that connection except for one person. They're like, oh no, you're just thinking things and stuff. And it's kind of like, this doesn't make no sense. It's the problem I have with Titans on HBO Max. How do people not know who they are? I mean, if that wasn't obvious enough, check out their civilian clothes. Like I said before, America Chavez, she just wears like regular street clothes when she fights. So she picked out a certain type of street clothes to be like her typical, like her technical costume. But her regular street clothes look almost identical to that of like her superhero outfit. Kamala Khan's civilian outfit looks very similar in the colors in which she wears in her superhero outfit. Doran wears basically the same thing but with a giant nut on her shirt. Then we have Gwen, who's Spider Ghost Spider. She wears colors identical to that of her costume and there's a giant spider on her shirt. I mean, seriously, how do people not know who they are? I don't get this. Not to mention, they always talk about their superhero stuff out in public, and then when people start to like be like, what are you talking about? They're like, oh, we're on a bowling league and stuff. Now, there's a great soundtrack with this show. It's pretty much sung from a couple of people who voice characters in the show. The Cameron, who does Spider-Gwen, she sings a song called Born Ready. And then the actress who voices Riri, she has a song as well. And then the villain from the Playing with Fire, she has a song. Then there are two other songs by somebody called Tova, which I have no idea who that is. And the music sounds amazing. Only problem is it's playing during the action scenes, right? And it makes it hard to hear what the characters are saying when they're fighting because they play not only the music, but they play like the vocals with it too. They would just play like the instruments, that would have been fine. But look for the music on YouTube. It sounds great. Now, ironically, none of the Mary Janes really ever sing. Like you don't ever hear like a full-on song by them. Mainly because the actresses probably can't sing themselves. I know Tara Strong, she had to have like a singing double when she was on Danny Phantom. I don't know about Grey DeLisle. And as for Sky Jackson, I'm not even sure if she can sing or not. So with the first episode, Secret Warriors, nobody is a team really. They're like individually doing their own thing. We see Doran and we see Kamala and they're training before school even starts. And then, like I said before, they are determined to like become superheroes and stuff. Well, at some point in time, you know, they see like somebody getting picked on, so they change their outfits and they go crime fighting. And it doesn't really go so well. They have their flaws and everything. They're not properly trained because they're only training themselves. And I like that determination in them. You see them like just exercising and everything, you know, they really want to be superheroes. And so at some point they come into contact with Dante. And so he is running from another Inhuman, Exile. And so like he's just trying to get like out of everybody's way. His powers just came on. He's setting things on fire. He's scared. He's frantic. And of course they try to help him out. Well, they think at some point he is the villain because he starts shooting fire at them. But then in comes Exile. And he's trying to do like the whole Prince Charming type thing, talking about like Dante's dangerous and all this other crap, right? And so we see the two shield agents, which is Patriot and Quake. And they're trying to figure out, what's going on and stuff like that. Then they have the introduction of American Chavez, and I like the introduction. It's just like as everybody's on the street, she's just like riding around on her motorcycle and everything, and she just looks like a tough person. And she doesn't want nothing to do with nobody, period. But they all come within each other's like crosshairs or what you say. And so like as Dante's constantly being pursued and everything, we see like this huge fight that happens out between everybody. And so like at some point they start talking about like Inhumans and stuff, and Squirrel Girl says some pretty like hurtful stuff about Inhumans towards Kamala, and Kamala doesn't like it, and they have an actual argument and stuff to the point she will not talk to her. Well, at some point she sees like Dante again, and she tries to talk to him, and then here comes Exile. But then she knows something's up with this dude. And basically, he is the villain and everything. And so he fights her and he kidnaps her. Well, Squirrel Girl sees this and tries to get to him, but can't. And so now she's worried, and so Squirrel Girl has to like step up and everything. She has to like free Kamala and stuff, but she don't know where she's at. But she gets a voicemail from her right before she teleported, and she up in space somewhere. So she figured, okay, I'll just steal Tony Stark's spaceship and everything, but then realize she can't do that. But then she thinks Shield might have one. Well, at this point in time, Quake has been arrested for something, and I think what happened? I think it was too much of a big fight and some explosion happened, and so she got blamed for it, something like that. And Patriot's one of the people who arrested her. She goes to him. She goes to everybody. She even goes to like America. America does not want to help out. Patriot does not want to help out. And she gives him this big heartfelt speech about like, how that's her best friend and how, they're superheroes. People need to save the world, blah, 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 stuff like that. And, she tells him, I know you all think I'm a joke because of the way I dress and the way I act and everything, but like I am serious, and this has to like, we have to help them and stuff. Well, they break Daisy out. And so they start like gathering some notes, and they realize, why are people chasing these Inhumans? Because there's a group of the kids that have been missing. Well, they realized the first group of Inhumans was created by the Kree. And then they determined that the Terrigen Mist and everything was caused by the Kree, and now the Kree has come back to collect those that have turned into Inhumans. And they basically want to use them as super soldiers and stuff. So they go out into outer space with the help of like Captain Marvel and everything. And so like, at this point in time, the Kree lady named Hala, I think she's Hala, the accuser, I think. And so she tells them, you all are part of a very special like unit, and y'all must fight your partner, and whoever survives get to be part of the army. So all the other Inhumans are fighting each other, and Dante's trying to fight like Kamala, because if they don't, then they will murder their parents at home and stuff, right? And so Kamala's like, we got to figure a way out. We can't fight each other. And she busts herself and him out. And then she busts everybody out. She's taking the leadership role and telling everybody, look, we have to fight these aliens and stuff. And she's doing her best. She's even shape-shifting and look like one, but she can't hold her form. And then in comes like the Secret Warriors and stuff. It's a huge fight. And then they have to like crash land the spaceship on like Earth, but it's coming in too fast. So Captain Marvel and America, they're like, at the bottom of the ship, and they're flying it to safety and stuff like that. Well, the Avengers, they end up buying out the garage that America works at and made it into their secret headquarters at the bottom and everything. I don't know how the dude who owns the place, I don't know how he doesn't know what's going on and everything. He sees that giant elevator coming up and down. And so they form like, the Secret Warriors. And then Captain America is talking to Captain Marvel because he's on Asgard for some bizarre reason. And Squirrel Girl comes in and she sniffs him. It's all like, this is what freedom smells like. Now, when it comes to Exile, he's an Inhuman too, like I said, and he's working with the Kree and everything. Well, the Kree decide they don't want him because Kamala was able to like take him down and everything, and so he wants to prove that he can like kill them all and everything. So he tries to literally kill them all, but it doesn't really work and everything because he doesn't want to go back home and he hates humans and stuff. I think he's associated with the Mandarin in the comics, I think somehow. Now the next two is Initiation and Chasing Ghosts. I've already talked about those. Go watch those. So I'll talk about Heart of Iron. This is one that disappointed me big time because I thought it was gonna be like, we were gonna get a lot about like Riri and everything, and we were gonna get to see the Iron Heart armor, and it just didn't turn out the way I thought it did. So it kind of bugged me a little bit, and also it focused on the team way too much, trying to take out like the bad guy. So basically with this, we see Riri, she's at school and her two friends went to a party without her and stuff, and that really bugged her. Basically, they just think she's weird, way too smart, and all this other crap. So it hurts her feelings. And so we see Doran and we see Kamala. Doran's been tracking like, Captain Marvel because she's going after Hala and everything to accuse her. And so they wasn't supposed to tag along, but Doran didn't tell Kamala that. So they end up getting in trouble and they call for the rest of the team to help out. Well, it makes the situation worse. See, Hala wants Kree technology that Tony took from them and put it in the force field. She's able to get like her hands on some of it, but not all of it and stuff. Well, actually, I don't think she can get on. I think she did get her hands on something, but it broke. Anyways, huge fight happens. They all screw up. And Tony, then they're rescued by Iron Man and stuff. He flies in and saves them, but doesn't say nothing. And then he flies out. Now, Tony later comes in and he's pissed at everybody. He's all like, "You wrecked my place. That technology got stolen. Captain Marvel, you were supposed to babysit these kids, and what are they good for?" Just being a butthead, right? So this causes Captain Marvel to yell at all the team and get mad at Quake. So now Quake feels like she's not worthy enough to lead the team. Well, they don't understand how Tony showed up after he just left. And so we see the person in the Iron Man suit. It's Riri. It's her suit she built to look just like his. And she has an AI in there called Amy. Amy is her best friend. She feels like she doesn't have any, so she made one in her armor. Well, as everybody's moping around because they're now grounded, we see Quake, and she meets up with Riri and all like, "I know you had that suit of armor, blah, blah, blah." Well, it's really the Kree lady in disguise. And so she steals the armor. So Riri, she finds the real Quake, accuses her, and they're like, "Look, man, I've been at this donut shop the entire time." So they gather some good information, and then they start going after Hala. Hala wants to go home, and so she stole the rest of some Kree technology, and she created some kind of device, hooked up Ironheart like suit to it and everything like that. And so next thing you know, she fights them a little bit, but then she goes through a portal and go home. After she does that, she unleashes something called anti-plasma. Basically, it's like antimatter. It consumes everything and everything like that. So they spend the entire rest of the time fighting this thing. That takes up all the time, right? And it's just consuming everything. They're trying their best to figure things out. One thing I love about them is that they fight like a team. They work together and everything. Well, Doran and Riri go back to the garage to try and come up with an antivirus program to get back into the suit. And so Riri really doesn't even do much in this episode. She doesn't even use her armor. And that was really disappointing about this episode. It just fell flat. Similar to like Avengers Assemble. And so They come up with it. They get back to like the thing. She injects the virus into the suit. So at some point in time, they're able to kind of like stop like that stuff from taking over everything. But it's a problem. In order to stop it, they need the suit, and they have to cut off the power supply. And that is the suit, the arc reactor. They do that, then Amy is gone. But she has to do it in a way. So of course, Riri sacrifices her suit, destroys it. She saves like the city and everything. Well, after that, they want her to join. And when she joins, now she's in a brand new suit of armor, her Iron Heart armor. But it's basically just a cameo in the armor. So it's like she doesn't even get to wear her actual real armor from the comics. And she really didn't, like, she helped out by stopping, like, the suit and everything, but she didn't help out stopping the plasma stuff. And so it just kind of fell flat. Like, it really fell flat. And it was mostly a Daisy episode with her whole woe is me, I can't lead the team type thing. So it just fell flat. Next is Battle of the Bands, another Spider-Gwen episode. And with this one, of course, she just wants to, like, be in the band and do this concert thing, but she has to do superhero stuff, so it's taking up too much of her time. She's talking to this mean girl named Mimi and everything, and she talking about how she wants to win. But all of a sudden, there's all these earthquakes going on around town, and people are going deaf and everything. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, but they can't talk to nobody because people can't hear. So at some point in time in the episode, she sees Mimi, and when she's Spider-Gwen, and she's all like, you can't go down in like the subway system, it's too dangerous. And Mimi's all like, blah 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 blah, I'm gonna win, blah blah blah. And then she uses her power, and she's like, oh, it's you're the one causing these earthquakes and stuff. And she's all like, don't call me Mimi, it's screaming Mimi. And then she's from the comics and stuff. And it's just a weird episode, a weird villain. I guess it's an okay episode, but it's just something that just came out of completely nowhere. So they stop her, and Ironheart finally gets to use her Ironheart armor. I like how they work as a team, so she figures out she can, when she screams at them with the sonic wave, they can bounce it back on her and destroy her little device that's causing it. So Spider-Gwen does that, saves the day, and then she reveals her identity to her band, talking about, hey, this is why I'm never here, and stuff like that. I'm just like, dude, why are you revealing your identity to your bandmates? You won't even do it to your father, who's chasing you down and shooting you and stuff. So it's an okay episode, but not great. Next is Operation Shuri, and this one just came out of left field. It's like, what was the point of this episode? So basically, the team has to babysit her, watch her and stuff, and they're not really sure why. Now, half of the team is gone. The only people in this episode is American Chavez, Gwen Stacy, Doran, and Kamala Khan. Everybody else is gone, especially the two guys and stuff. And so first, it's America, and America can't stand her because America always has like a chip on her shoulder. And so Shuri's so smart, she's all like, oh, I can fix your motorcycle and I can fix this car and stuff like that, because her boss, America's boss, is all like, I don't pay you just to stand around and not fix stuff. So she ends up fixing everything like super fast with Wakanda technology. This irritates America. So next is Kamala. So she takes her to school. It's all like, I'm going to be late. See, Kamala has a hard time fitting in school. She's always late. She's not too good at school, and she has a hard time making friends. The only one she has is Bruno and stuff, but Bruno does not show up in this episode. So she's all like, I don't know where we're going to sit for lunch, probably by a table by ourselves. Well, Shuri, because she's a princess, everybody's loving her, so she makes friends like really fast. She does really good in like the classes and outsmarts everybody and all this other stuff. This bugs Kamala. Then it's Gwen's turn, and Gwen, she's with her band, and Shuri's all like, oh, I can make music with like, my technology, and we can play better, and if you do this, it will sound better. So the girls like it so much they want her to like join them, which pisses off Gwen. And next is Doran and stuff. And Doran's pretty much cool and everything until she's like, look what I built and everything. Facial recognition. She's like, oh, really? Does it work if I move my face around like this? And then they start going back and forth with technology they built, but of course Shuri built better stuff, and it pisses her off now. And so at some point, they're just irritated. I'm like, oh, she's so much better than us, and blah blah blah, and stuff like that. So it's one of those emotional type episodes. But then something bad happens, like a fairy explodes. So Shuri decides, okay, she's gonna stop it on her own. So she transforms in Wakanda like warrior outfit, and she's doing a good job of like containing everything until something happens. I think there's a villain on there. I can't remember which one. And so then the team goes into action, but they don't know she's on the ship. So then they realize she is, and they have to rescue her and everything. And so they all work together to like stop like the villain and everything. And she's all like, I shouldn't have rushed in and blah blah blah. And they're all like, but then this is what's so weird. They're all like, oh no, you was amazing. Like you got there before we did and helped save those people and blah blah blah. I'm just like, are you serious? Like, where is this going? And then all of a sudden Captain Marvel shows up and all like, you passed. And she's like, what are you talking about? She's all like, the Black Panther wanted you to see what it was like being a normal girl and a teenager and spend time with like normal people. I was like, what was the point of this episode? And then she's all like, you all have graduated too, the way you can no longer be in train and you can start fighting your own villains. I'm just like, this episode is bizarre. So you think it's gonna start off with them not liking her, then they end up liking her, then she learns a lesson of like, not rushing into stuff, but then apparently the lesson she was supposed to learn is to be normal. Like, that don't make no sense. So the last episode is Playing with Fire. It's Dante. This is a really interesting episode. You think it's going to be all about him, but then it's kind of not. It's mostly about the villain. See, the villain is just a normal girl, and her parents have superpowers. One has electrical powers, and one can go invisible. And what's cool is that the villain mom is played by Niecy Nash, and she just goes all Niecy Nash on it and stuff. She's so great and hilarious in this. I wish she was in the episode more. Well, as they're trying to steal something, the team stops them, right? And so the girl, she ends up stealing like a necklace. And so when she's home, she's all like, look what I stole, look what I stole. And the parents don't want to pay attention to her. Well, when she touches somebody, a ball of light comes from that person into her, and she ends up stealing powers. She takes her parents' powers, and they don't realize it's her, and then she gives them back. And then she decides she's going to go steal some other people's powers. And so what this episode, Dante's sister has come, and she's all like, our parents, they miss you, they want you to come back home. And he's all like, no, I'm too dangerous, I got fire powers, I can hurt people, I burnt down the house, they don't want me to come back, and I don't want to go back. So it's basically them two going back and forth about that. Then in comes the girl, and then the girl whose name I can't even remember, I'm just gonna call her girl. She's not even from the comics, they just made her up for some bizarre reason. So she steals Inferno's powers. And so now he feels pretty useless and everything. The team comes in. And so basically, he has to stay behind when they go out into the field and fight, and he doesn't want to. And then it's this huge discussion of like family. Basically, Kamala is late for home, so America gives her a ride on the motorcycle. This pisses off her mom, but she's all like, if somebody is gonna make you ride on a vehicle of death, then they're coming over for dinner. And so America comes over for dinner, and she comes over there twice because the mom invites her. This kind of annoys Kamala, because she's all like, well, why you keep inviting her and nobody else and stuff? And so like, then Dante's talking about, I can't go back home. My parents probably hate me. I burnt the house down, stuff like that. So that annoys America. Then Gwen is talking about, oh yeah, my dad, he like chased me all around town, shooting at me because he thought I killed my best friend. And so America has had it, and she fusses everybody out. She's all like, all y'all do is whine and complain about your parents, and your parents actually love you and want to be with you. And her parents are probably dead on a planet that no longer exists, and she wishes she can be with her parents. So that makes them all stop like whining and stuff like that and realize what they have is special. So then they go to fight the villain. And so the girl, of course, ends up stealing all of their powers and stuff. And so this is how also I knew how Gwen had like organic webbing. So they're having a hard time fighting her and stuff. Ironically, Quake and Patriot are not in this episode. And so they're getting their butts kicked big time and everything. And so they start to see when somebody hit the necklace, one of the balls fall off and somebody got the powers back. And what's crazy about this is that when she uses Inferno's power, she does it better than him. Like she's able to fly, she fights pretty much like a firebender from Avatar Last Airbender. Oh, also missing in this episode is Ironheart. She's like completely gone in this episode. What was the point in introducing her? Only to introduce her in her own episode where she's barely in it, and then in Battle of the Bands when she just shows up for the fight. And it's just like there was no point. So Squirrel Girl calls in an army of squirrels, and they get the powers back and they arrest her. Well, on flipping the script, her parents are thrilled that she finally got arrested. They're like, girl, that orange jumpsuit looked great on you. But when you get out, don't worry. We're going to hit bigger places. We're going to go to France. We're going to go to like other countries. We're going to start stealing from their museums and everything. And she's happy. So towards the end, everybody's getting along, and I think America is starting to like lighten up a little bit more, like be nicer, and starts to go like to get invited more to Kamala's house. And in this episode, Lockjaw was sick, and Tippy-Toe had to like make him better and stuff. And because I remember in the episode when Squirrel Girl lost her power, she couldn't hear what Tippy-Toe was saying. It was like freaking her out and stuff. And then it ends with Dante and his sister going back home. He says temporarily so he can see his parents again. And then it just ends. So all in all, it's a good series. It's just not great. Like, there are flaws in the writing. Characters don't always show up. Solo episodes aren't really on that person. So I can kind of see why it ended. And it's a shame because it could have been something great. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still a whole lot better than Marvel Spider-Man and Avengers Assemble. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.